And welcome to episode 556 of the Pittsburgh Nerd Podcast. I'm Sean.
And I'm Ian, and this is the only podcast that says...
Now, when we fought, you had that eye of the tiger, man. The edge. And now you got to get it back. And the way to get it back is go back to the beginning. You know what I mean?
Yes, I know what he means.
R.I.P. Carl Weathers.
I'm telling you.
I mean, I know you're not big on the celebrity death thing anymore, but man, Carl Weathers, that's got to hit you in the feels.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I met him.
You did, yeah. You did the Predator handshake and everything with him.
Yeah.
You called him a son of a bitch?
No, I didn't. You son of a bitch. No, I didn't. I didn't do that. No, I didn't do that.
No.
But I did want the Predator handshake.
Yeah.
And... yeah, I did. That's funny. Right here.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I'll miss him. He was a nice guy. He was nice to me anyway.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was interesting, like...
And then more Amanda.
Huh?
Amanda Long.
Well, I mean, yeah, his character. Grief.
Yeah.
I can't imagine... I mean, I guess you could recast it, but, like, you know, Carl Weathers is an original.
Yeah, no. So anyway, yeah, it's sad.
I mean, it was rough. Like, I mean, you saw he passed away yesterday, and then like people started saying like what a great guy was, and it was like Adam Sandler, I think Schwarzenegger tweeted something, like a bunch of people, and like in comes Sly.
I didn't read the Sly.
He just posted a video. He actually, it was like him speaking, and he was standing in front of like the picture, the painting of Rocky and Apollo.
Yeah.
And he just talked about like, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Carl Weathers. Like,
right.
When he came in, when we were casting Rocky, it was like he was perfect. He was the perfect Apollo Creed.
Yeah.
And the way he acted, the 4 movies, but those first 2 were so important, and like without Carl Weathers, I don't have the career I had.
Yeah.
Because I needed that guy on the opposite side of me.
Yeah.
And you talk about what a great guy he was and all that stuff, but I mean, it was touching because he's right.
Yeah.
Like, as important as Rocky is to that film, because it's Rocky, you need Apollo Creed in those first 2 movies.
Right.
Like, you have to have, and he was the perfect foil. And, like, even in the second one, when
oh, yeah.
Like, there's that scene where he's, like, got his people in the office, and he's like, you didn't think I beat him, did you? And he's like, I ain't never seen a man do that before. Yeah. He's no good for us, baby.
The trainer.
Yeah. Like, yeah, I got to beat him. I got to show the world I beat him.
Yeah, that's crazy. So good, man.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, and other stuff, like, a forgotten action movie, Action Jackson.
Yeah, Action Jackson was good.
Like, that was, like, one of the first, like, over-the-top, like, ridiculous action movies.
Right.
Where I was just like, wow, this is terrible, but I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, he was in Predator and later on Mandalorian. And he was, one of my favorites is he's only in a few episodes, but what he did on Arrested Development. Because he was playing himself.
Right.
But an over-the-top version of himself.
Right.
And, like, when they approached him, he was like, it's not going to be a bunch of Rocky jokes, is it?
Yeah.
That's not funny.
Yeah.
And they're like, no. They had a bunch of Rocky jokes written.
Yeah.
He's like, why don't you make me cheap? And they're like, what? He's like, I ain't going to be fun. Like, you make me cheap. Like, like I'm thrifty. And, like, so, like, there's this, like, amazing scene where, like, the guy's throwing this, like, a bone away. And he's like, oh, what are you doing? What are you doing? You take that bone, you put it in some water, you get a potato, some corn, some vegetables, you got yourself a stew, man. And it was shit like that. And it was like, he was hysterical on that show. Like, He was only in like 5 or 6 episodes throughout the entire run, but every time he showed up, he was so fucking funny.
Yeah.
You know, and
That's funny.
like I read that yesterday, and I rolled a tear. I'll admit it. I'll freely admit it. I rolled a tear.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
There's that. How are you, sir? What have you been up to?
Not much. It's work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Coming back home for the next 12.
Yeah.
So I'll be in town.
Now's your chance to see Ian if you want to. He's in town. 12 days.
12 days. No, 12 weeks.
12 weeks. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll be here for 12 weeks.
Oh, okay.
That'll be good.
Well.
Yeah, so there's that. What else? I swear to God I watched something, but I just don't remember what I watched.
Yeah.
Maybe I didn't. I watched The Last of Us again. Not The Last of Us. The series with the kid. The kids were in... The series where the kids were in the school in Japan, I think. Or Korea. And the zombie outbreak happened.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about. I don't know what.
Some of us are dead. Or
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I watched that again. That was good. And I watched Train to Busan
Yeah.
again. And I don't know. That's kind of where my mind was. Zombie movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Korean zombie movies at that.
They're good.
Yeah.
Train to Busan is an excellent movie.
Yeah.
That's a killer movie.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, so that's pretty much all I've been watching on TV. I think. Yeah, I think that's it.
I watched 2 movies this week. The first was the RWBY crossover with the Justice League, Heroes vs. Huntsman Part 2.
Okay.
It was okay. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm not going to recommend it. I had some problems. Like, I didn't like whoever they got to voice Superman. It was like he was trying really hard to be the cheesiest sounding Superman ever.
Really?
Yeah, like it's like, here they call me Superman. You know, I was like, what the fuck? What is this guy doing?
All right.
Yeah. Talk to me, Ruby Rose. What's wrong? Like, what the fuck, dude? Like, who is this guy? Like, I don't even want to look it up.
Right.
You know, but outside that, the story was good and I enjoyed it. So, if you like RWBY and you like the Justice League, I highly recommend it. Outside of that, don't bother. But the other thing I watched was a movie called Dumb Money.
Okay.
And this was a movie about the GameStop stock controversy in 2021.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember anything about that.
I do.
Okay. Well, there's this Reddit forum, I Reddit page called Wall Street Bets. And the whole thing revolves around, I mean, and to give some background, and I'm not going to pretend like I'm an expert in this whatsoever. My basic understanding of how stocks work is the more people buy stocks, it drives the price of the stock up.
Okay.
So if I'm buying stock A and I'm buying it at $5 a share and more people buy it, now it's a supply and demand issue and that drives the price of the stock up.
Right.
So I make money because more people are buying the stock.
Right.
The exact opposite. More people that are selling the stock and getting rid of it, if they're bailing out on the stock, that drops the price and that's how stocks lose money.
Right.
That's extremely basic. It's not nearly as in depth as the stock market actually is.
Right.
But that's like the very, 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 very basic aspect of what the stock market does.
Okay.
Okay. So it's rudimentary and it's caveman thinking, but that's kind of how it works. So the whole thing becomes GameStop was a cratering stock.
Okay.
Companies hedge funds were betting that they were going to go into bankruptcy. They were shorting the stock, which means that they were essentially betting that it was going to fail at some point.
Right.
And GameStop was in a position that's a smart bet.
Okay.
Like they had gone through like 6 CEOs in 2 years. Like everybody hated GameStop because of their whole like, yeah, I'll buy that from you for $2 and we'll sell it for $40.
Yeah.
Mentality. Like, sure. you weren't trading in games, you're getting a fair price for them. Like everything about GameStop people hated. And there was this one guy who was on there called Roaring Kitty. And he said, I like the stock, I think it's undervalued, and as we're going into the pandemic, I think more people are going to be buying games, and I think this is going to be a stock that's going to rise. And he spent $53,000 when the stock was at $3.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Well, over the next year, it started picking up steam.
Yeah.
More people started buying it because of this guy. Mm. And Wall Street Bets got behind it. And Wall Street Bets, so everybody starts buying this stock as much as they can. And now the price is rising, and it's rising, and it's rising. And it's like, over a few months, it got to $10, which is like great. But it kept then it like started to skyrocket. And the whole point of it was, we are going to fuck over the hedge funds. We're going to push this stock so that they lose money.
Okay. Because
they're fucking over the little guy. And they were all using this app called Robinhood. Mm-hmm. And Robinhood, the point of Robinhood was it would allow you to buy stocks without having to pay a commission.
Okay.
So it was making stock purchasing available to everybody without it costing a ton to do it.
Okay.
Okay. So now I could buy $200 worth of shares and not have to pay a percentage of that also. So so it's like a 30% commission. So now I'm paying $60 to, whoever I'm going through to buy the stock.
Okay.
Robinhood was eliminating that and just allowing you to buy the stock at price.
Okay.
Okay. So you've got this app that everybody's utilizing. You've got this stock that they are pushing to the moon. And then as it's rising, they are saying, because now the hedge fund's like, okay, this stock that we bet is going to fail is rising.
Right.
It's over $100. This isn't good.
Right.
But they will fold. They're nothing but Mickey Mousers. They're little people. They will eventually take the money and run.
Okay.
And the stock will crater.
Right.
And we'll make our money back. Well, they never did it. They kept holding. Mm-hmm. They kept holding. It got to over $300 a share.
Oh, shit.
Right. Like, Roaring Kitty was, like, at one point worth, like, in the stock, like, $45 million.
Wow.
And he was holding.
Okay.
He wasn't going to sell. And then, all of a sudden, they shut down Wall Street Bets because they were saying it was hate-mongering.
Okay.
And Robinhood was told they had to give $3 billion because of the trades that were taking place, and they needed, like, I can't remember what department it was, but they needed a show that they could afford to cover these bets, essentially.
Right.
And they needed $3 billion to do it. So the people who owned Robinhood worked out a deal where they shut off the buy option on GameStop.
Okay.
So you can no longer buy shares of GameStop any longer through the Robinhood app.
Okay.
So nobody else was going to go anywhere else because they would charge them a commission.
Uh-huh.
So now, between everybody, like, not being able to buy it any longer, also Wall Street Bets being shut down, so there was no more communication amongst these people.
Right.
The stock drops.
Okay.
Because people panicked and did start to sell.
Okay.
But they were like, it's $300, over $300. I've got my $200 investment is now worth $300,000. I'm going to sell.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I better get out while the getting's good. Well, Roaring Kitty never did.
Okay.
So as the stock dropped, it dropped back down to $100. Like he lost like $30 million in 2 days.
All right.
So there's all this chaos going on around this. Meanwhile, like the mutual funds were like losing $1 billion a day.
Yeah.
Because they shorted this hard.
Yeah.
And now it goes to Congress. Like Congress doesn't know what the hell happened.
Yeah.
And it's a really interesting story. Like I'm really generalizing it, but it was a really interesting story because it was basically about. It was as close to a revolution as you could get without firing a shot.
Yeah.
Like Wall Street panicked because the little person was actually able to manipulate the market finally.
Right.
That we were able to play their game.
Yeah.
And win.
Yeah.
You know, and like at the end of all this, like it says like these hedge funds and mutual funds, they are leery of shorting stocks now, and they are like a big thing with them is keeping their eye and ear to social media because they don't want to get caught in this short squeeze again.
I see.
You know, like people people lost billions. Like there was one particular hedge fund that like was like at the center of all this, and it was like the Wall Street bets people were like, "Fuck this guy, we're gonna ruin him."
Yeah.
And that's what they did.
Yeah.
And like at one point he gets bailed out by other hedge funds, but at the end of the day, his shit got shut down. He filed for bankruptcy. He lost billions of dollars.
Yeah.
And it was all because like these people were out and said, "Fuck you.
Yeah.
We can play the game too.
Yeah.
Watch." And so it really has like as much as the big the Big Short, when the housing market crashed, like in a lot of ways should have changed the way the housing market operates. It didn't. It's still doing. They still do the same fucking thing now. But this did change how Wall Street and these massive investors are looking at the market now, because at any time they know people will band together
Yeah.
and take something and push it to the moon when you're hoping it fails.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So it was a really interesting movie. I really enjoyed it. It was well acted. It's got Paul Dano in it. Mm-hmm. He plays the Roaring Kitty. But it's got Seth Rogen in it. He plays the guy, the hedge fund guy. It was really good. I enjoyed the hell out of it.
That's cool. I'll check it out.
Yeah, it's. I mean, if you're interested in it, I highly recommend it. I thought it was a good movie. Like, I mean, it's not Oscar worthy or anything like that, but I thought it was really well done, and it did dumb it down a bit. But it also, like, at the end of the day, like the one guy said, like, cause they're asking Roaring Kitty, like, well, how did this happen? He's like, be honest, I don't know. Like, that's the thing. That's the problem. There are so many things that happen on Wall Street. There are so many things that happen with stocks that we don't understand.
Right.
Like, it is a mystery that needs to be unraveled.
Right.
Because there's so much that can take place that can cause problems or could screw over the little person.
Right.
Where, the big guy is going to get bailed out by his buddies. I'm not.
Right.
I lost $30 million in 2 days.
Right.
Nobody came to bail me out.
Right.
Yeah,
no, I hear you.
I'm looked at as the villain for some reason. I'm not the villain.
Right.
Like, it was really, really well done. Like, I enjoyed it. And it was eye-opening in a lot of ways. Because like, that shit is just so rigged.
Oh,
You know what I mean? Like, it's like, but like to see like, and like I remember when it happened, I was trying to keep up on it, but because I don't have my ear to that world that much, I wasn't getting the full story.
Okay.
Like, I was reading stuff on like Yahoo and a little bit on Reddit, but like you weren't getting the full story because like I don't have my ear in like the financial sector. Like, I just,
Right.
Yeah,
I hear you.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm that guy that doesn't even have like a 401k.
Yeah.
I got nothing. I'll be working until I'm 75, and then they'll probably fire me because I'm dead.
Nice.
Sean didn't show up for work. Well, he died Tuesday. Yeah, well, we have to fire him.
Nice.
That's what's going to happen. My greeter at Walmart job.
Nice.
So that's the two movies I watched. That was I enjoyed them both.
Yeah.
I really recommend if you dumb money like RWBY and Justice League. I mean, that's only if you're into that.
Yeah.
But Dumb Money was actually a really, really good movie. I think most people will enjoy.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I did watch He-Man.
Did you? Did you enjoy that?
I did. I didn't. I thought it was gonna be corny as fuck.
Yeah.
In the beginning, and then it leveled out, and then I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Like it was even scripted pretty well. With dumbass jokes from Hamill on.
Yeah.
But I thought it was done pretty decently. I did not appreciate the cowboy in the Eternal Universe.
Yeah.
I just could not. That was hard for me to get by. I was like, this is stupid. At least
he didn't have a big part.
No, he didn't. But I was like in the beginning, and I was like, man, this is. Oh,
it's
man.
that thing where you have to pay because I'm with you. There are characters you're just like, oh man, that's bad. That was just like, but that was the job at the time. So this is kind of like what you're stuck with. So you bring that character in so that the fanboys can be like, hey, there's so and so, Lone Star or whatever the hell his name was. But
it just didn't make any sense in Masters of the Universe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I get what you're saying.
None of it really makes sense, but
right.
The cowboy thing was
you're just stuck with stuff like Stinkor in the first episode.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Stinkor. Yeah, that's right. He exists. But overall, the story is very good. Once you get past that horse shit.
Yeah.
I thought the story that they tell was very, very good.
Yeah, Evil Lynn's character was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I watched it.
Yeah. I thought it was it took the material and did a really good job of modernizing it.
Yeah.
But also telling a compelling story.
Yeah, it was definitely modernized and it was definitely graphic.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Which I appreciated. Because, as we all know, the original series, they couldn't even, punch anybody.
Yeah. He-Man was strictly using defensive moves at all times.
Yeah, it was all, kid cartoon. And,
yeah.
Yeah, it was just not,
I loved in the first episode of Revelation when he stabbed Skeletor.
Yeah.
And Skeletor's like, you finally used it the right way.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And it's just like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
This is deep.
I know, it was pretty good.
Yeah.
So, anyway, yeah, that was good.
Yeah. Good. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah. I did watch Shang-Chi again, too.
Okay.
Which I quite enjoyed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good story. I like it.
I've thought about rewatching that just to
Yeah, I like the...
Yeah.
I like the story that was being told. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
It was pretty good how, the Mandarin was just trying to see his dead wife.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a really interesting concept. That's what he wanted to do. And
yeah.
He could not be swayed from that. And the thing with him too is he did change for her. You know what I mean? He completely changed his life around for her.
Right.
He was no longer the Mandarin.
Yeah.
He was just living off the Mandarin's spoils, but
right.
But he was no longer that guy anymore.
Right.
All he wanted to be was a dad to his kids.
Right.
And then once she left, when he went in there with the rings to get the guys that killed his wife, oh, that was badass.
Well, it's always we always say what makes the best villain? Well, the villain who has a point of view that you can kind of side with.
Yeah.
You could. I don't like how you're going to buy it, but I get your point.
Yeah, his point was valid.
Yeah.
And the dark entity or whatever knew exactly how to get to him.
Right.
I mean, one of the most powerful people on earth.
Yeah.
What's his weakness?
Right.
It was his wife.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, that made a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
I like the dragon aspect. I thought they did a really good job at that dragon. I did.
Yeah.
The way it looked.
Yeah.
It looked mythical.
Yeah.
Like mythical Chinese. You know what I mean? Like, it was good.
And again, like, I mean, it's that thing of like, man, they could screw this up. And I mean, Fing Fang Foom is like, okay, like, this is going to be bad. And like, they really did a good job with that, I thought. Like, making it.
And I like the way, like, I love the way, like, part of it, one part I really liked was when that whole garden scene between him and his wife.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool, number one. And then they kept repeating it throughout the thing. Like, he went to his aunt, and they did the same type of dance, sort of.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And she was trying to teach him. And then at the end with his father, he did the same thing.
Right.
And I thought, and like he knew, his father knew that.
Yeah.
He knows how to beat him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was pretty good. I quite enjoyed it. I even liked the little bit of corniness that was in it. Yeah. It lightened it up just enough to where it wasn't like too dark and depressing, because it's a depressing story.
It is. Yeah.
I mean, it's awful.
But you're right. Like it's. I thought it still had that Marvel feel to it.
Sure.
Like it's a dark story, it's a deep story, but there's a nice level of humor to keep it even.
Yeah, the only thing I didn't like is they killed off the Mandarin.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the guy that was playing the Mandarin was in it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the fake Mandarin.
Yeah. Yeah, Ben Kingsley. Yeah. Trevor.
Yeah. But, he'd have been great. That guy would have been a great Mandarin. He was good.
Yeah.
I mean, at that role, he played a good villain.
Yeah.
Oh, especially when he went after those guys.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it's coming down. And he was just told him, I was like, I may have not been the Mandarin for years, but this is who I am. And just fucking,
laid them out.
Slaughtered. You know?
Yeah.
And had his boy watch.
Yeah.
Crazy town.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was pretty good. I enjoyed it.
Good.
So, that's about all I watched. In the hotel, I watched the first Planet of the Apes. That was on TV.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I watched that.
Yeah. Classic.
Yeah, I got to the part where he said no.
Yeah.
Where they killed Malfoy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where I turned it on at.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. It was good. That whole bridge scene was good, too.
It is.
Yeah. It was good. I love how they came under the bridge.
Yeah.
That was badass.
Yeah.
I was like, ew, shit. That big fucking gorilla took down that chopper. There's a lot of good things that are going on there.
There are. It's
honestly, that chopper, when he took down that chopper, that was a pretty powerful scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say from an acting standpoint, but from just a storytelling standpoint.
Yeah.
He's dying. And,
yeah.
And he did that to save Caesar.
Yeah.
Caesar knew that.
Right.
That was pretty cool. And his interaction with, what's his name at the end was good.
Yeah.
Because he, stood up and showed all the apes that not all people are bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But,
I'm home.
Yeah. Yeah. But he's still...
Yeah.
He didn't depart meanly.
Right.
Not with him.
Right, but in the second one that it comes back, he's like, this was one of the few humans...
Yeah.
That cared for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
A good man lived here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, that's...
God, it's such a good fucking series.
It is.
It's completely watchable over and over and over
again.
It
is. It absolutely is. I 100% agree.
Can't get over how good that is. Anyway. So, yeah, I think that was it for the week. Yeah, that was it.
Okay. So let's dip into the big Steeler news.
Okay.
The Steelers have hired their offensive coordinator.
Okay.
Former Falcons head coach Arthur Smith.
Okay.
Okay. Before he was the head coach of the Falcons, he was the offensive coordinator in Tennessee when Derrick Henry was running roughshod and Ryan Tannehill was actually like redeemed as a quarterback.
Right.
So, I guess like I don't know how much you've dug into it or how much
I haven't.
Okay. So you what like do you have any thoughts on it? None.
I don't know anything about him.
Okay. Like I know this. When he was the head coach in Atlanta, particularly last year, you know, they spent a first-round draft pick on Bijan Robinson. There were games where Bijan Robinson got the ball 30 times, and there were games where Bijan Robinson got the ball 5 times.
Jesus.
Like, you could look at, statistically, if you look at it overall, Bijan Robinson got the ball, he was, like, in the top 10, like, for carries or touches amongst running backs. But he was feast or famine a lot of times because he was either he got the ball a ton or he got the ball none.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And then there was the one game where it was like he wasn't on the injury report. The only reason I know is because I had him on my fantasy football team.
Okay.
So like he wasn't on the injury report. It was against the team that you were expecting him to have a big game against, and he didn't play. And you found out after the game, it was like, well, you know, he had a migraine. Well, that needs to be reported.
Right.
Like, the NFL looked into that. Like, you know, there's some bullshit here.
Yeah.
So it was like people were pissed because it was like me. Like, I mean, I lost that week, but it was like I had another running back I could have played. You know what I mean? But there was a lot of stuff like that where, like I said, like with Bijan Robinson, and they had a tight end too that like they never used, but they drafted him in the first round and like never got touches. The flip side of that is when he was an offensive coordinator, I mean, like, there was a lot of good that came out. Like, I mean, what they did in Tennessee while he was there, I mean, when he was the offensive coordinator in Tennessee, they got all the way to the AFC Championship game.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, they got that close.
All right.
I feel like if he's coming back as an offensive coordinator, he doesn't have the whole responsibility, just the offense. Like, maybe he could do some good things. There's a lot of, like, looking back, like, he had a lot of, like, the high-low concepts I talked about where you have, like, that one guy low, one guy high, and the linebacker has to make a decision on who he's taking.
Yeah.
And whoever he takes, the other guy's going to be open. Yeah. Like, it was stuff like that, like, the Steelers never do, but, like, every other team in the league does.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the one of the things that does concern me is, like, when you look back at, like, how Derrick Henry was used, there was a lot of, like, off-tackle plays. Mm-hmm. A lot of, like, pulling to, like, like, where Najee is, like, a straight-ahead runner. This was a lot of, like, kind of, like...
Side song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know how well that'll work. Like, I hope he could kind of take his offensive style and adjust that for Najee as a straight-ahead runner. Mm. But if that's the case, if you don't, then all of a sudden now Jaylen Warren is now your number one running back.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, as much as I like Jaylen Warren, I don't know if I want him to be the workhorse guy with he's getting 25 carries a game.
Right. Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, there are good things about, like, the hire. I'm looking at it, like, he's got head coaching experience. That's nice. Like, he's somebody who's been in that seat. He understands it. He when he was an offensive coordinator, he was a guy who, like, took an offense and made it a top 5 offense.
Yeah.
You know, Derrick Henry being the focal point. So, yes, like, we can get back to quote-unquote Steeler football where we are running the ball.
Yeah.
You know, and we're running the ball hard, but I don't know how well he fits Kenny Pickett.
Yeah.
If that's the case, how much money are you willing to spend to bring back Mason Rudolph? Because, I mean, that becomes a thing. Like, do you go and you spend money to keep Mason Rudolph because you think maybe he suits this offense better? Or do you go and you draft somebody?
Right.
Or do you go and spend money on a free agent? And who's that free agent? Or who? Like, the people were talking about, like, oh, bring in Justin Fields. Well, Justin Fields does not fit this offense.
Yeah.
Sorry. Like,
yeah.
More importantly, I don't want Justin Fields because he's a piece of crap.
Yeah.
As a professional athlete, I'm sure he's a wonderful human being. But he's awful as a quarterback. I don't want him.
Yeah.
You know, like, there's talk of, like, well, Russell Wilson.
Who wants Russell?
Nobody wants Russell Wilson. Like, I mean, like, I don't see. I don't like, unless you're gonna go and you're gonna get like JJ McCarthy from Michigan in the draft, and that's your competition. And I don't know what you do.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, but I mean, I'm kind of on the fence on the hire though. Like, there's a lot I like about Arthur Smith. There's a lot I don't like about Arthur Smith. So I'm kind of on the fence, and it's going to be more along the lines of like, well, let's see what he does come, September.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to judge him now, but I am judging based upon previous work, and that previous work, there's a lot of good and there's a lot of bad.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. So.
We will see.
We will see. But
they kept their defensive coordinator, right?
Yeah, they did. They did not get rid of him, much to my chagrin.
Yeah.
The one I hope, and I mean, it was like a wish list thing. I think that's more than anything else. Like, I hope they would go and get Mike Munchak to be the offensive line coach again.
Yeah.
He's out there. He's available, and I think more than anything, you bring in a new offensive line coach, I think that line improves.
Yeah.
That's the biggest. To me, that's still the biggest issue is that offensive line.
Yeah.
Because they're bad.
Right.
I mean, there's no two ways about it. They're bad.
Right.
And I feel like whoever you have as the offensive line coach has not done a good job of improving these players.
I don't think so either.
No. I mean, it's been a point of contention now for 3 or 4 years.
Right.
So let's go bring in Mike Munchak. Let's bring Mike Munchak home, and so that he can fix our offensive line.
Yeah. Maybe they will.
One can only hope.
It's early.
You don't
know what's going on.
Yeah.
Maybe the new offensive coordinator will want that.
Maybe, yeah.
I mean, I think that's why nobody's gone yet. I think he's going to make some decisions on who he wants.
Well, I don't know, like my hope was that they would just like fire everybody on the offensive staff and build it anew.
Yeah.
It seems like they're keeping the guy who was actually calling the plays after they fired Canada was the quarterback coach.
Uh-huh.
It seems like they're keeping him.
Uh-huh.
And the other guy was the running back coach. The guy that was like the offensive coordinator. He was the offensive coordinator, and he was the running backs coach. And then the guy who was the quarterbacks coach was the guy calling the plays into the quarterback.
Yeah.
They're keeping both of those guys in those positions. The quarterbacks coach and running backs coach. It's like there's not like a cleansing like I was hoping.
Yeah, yeah.
But I still think like I'd love to bring in somebody who's a better offensive line coach than what we've got.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so I wanted to get some sad local news.
Okay. Sad
local news. Just awful. So this week, a criminal complaint against the ownership of the long-closed Century 3 Mall was announced by the Allegheny County District Attorney on Tuesday morning. So Moonbeam, the company that owns Century 3 Mall, is being basically taken to court over their neglect with the property.
Yeah.
Just basically leaving it to rot.
Yeah.
Which is causing a lot of problems because people are breaking into it. There's been fires. There's been people trapped inside.
Yeah.
People have fallen through the roof. Like there's, it's this dangerous monstrosity sitting in the middle of West Mifflin.
Yeah, yeah.
And the borough that announced that, like, come April or late April, early May, they are tearing the fucker down.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's been closed for a couple of years, but, like, it is the end of an era now.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, what was once considered one of the top 5 malls in the country
Yeah.
is finally being brought to its awful demise.
Yeah, yeah.
Does it make you sad?
Yeah, but it makes me sad when I drive by it.
Yeah.
I'd rather just not look at it anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's time to rip that fucking Band-Aid off and just get it out of there.
I agree. I do agree with that. Like, it's a situation where, like, something should have been done with this long ago.
Yeah, I mean, there's potholes the size of a Yugo over there.
Yeah. Like,
it's horrible.
You can't drive that road.
I know. It's, like, unbelievable.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, there are roads in Afghanistan that are far more passable.
Yeah, it's crazy, dude. They just need to get rid of it.
It's a large plot of land, too.
Yeah, it's huge.
Like, in 1979 when it opened, like, it was, like, the second largest mall in America.
Yeah.
And, like, even, like, come the 90s, like, the heyday of the mall, the 80s and 90s, when Mall of America opened, it was still in the top 5.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
As far as size. Like,
Yeah.
Like, you don't realize how big that fucking mall is.
Oh, it's massive.
It is.
Yeah.
But, it is one of those things, though, that's like there's a part of me that's like, I wish they could have done something with it.
Right.
But there's also a part of me that understands, like, it was so poorly constructed because it was constructed on a slag pile that you have to rip it all down and start over.
Yeah, you gotta level it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's nothing that can be saved.
No, there's not any part of that mall that can be saved.
No.
I mean, the infrastructure just on that second level is horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to come down one way or the other.
Right. Exactly. But like the parking garage has been falling in for years.
Right, I know.
Like, even while it was open, there were parts of that parking garage you couldn't access because it was, like,
Dangerous.
sinkholes. Yeah.
Yeah. It's horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame. But, I spent a lot of time at that mall.
Yeah, you and me both.
Yeah. So, it's a shame to see the demise.
What would you like to see go into that?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
It seems like their Southland annex down there seems to be doing fine.
Yeah. Everybody thought, like, with the waterfront going in and the demise of the mall, that, like, that Route 51 corridor would fall apart.
Yeah, that part of it. And it really hasn't.
No.
Of course, LA Fitness just went out. But I don't think... I don't think it was that bad. I mean, I don't think it's that bad down there. And plus, people in West Mifflin don't really have a lot of options. I mean, they do. I mean, they can go out to South Hills Village or Castee Village, but that's still a drive. I mean, the people that live in Jefferson Hills right there. You know what I mean?
Right.
And West Mifflin surrounding, that's their nearest spot. That they're not going to want to, if they don't have to drive to Homestead, they're not going to drive to Homestead.
Right. I think the people that are more hurt are like people here in Glassport, Elizabeth, Clareton, because there is no, like the closest spot is South Hills Village or Monroeville.
Right.
And there's a lot of people, like, one of the great things was you could take a bus from here in Glassport to Century 3 Mall.
Yeah. That was one of the stops.
That was a bit the whole reason to take that fucking bus.
Yeah, yeah.
It took you from Glassport to Century 3 Mall, and from Century 3 Mall back to Glassport.
Yeah.
Like, many a time, me and my friends here in Glassport would catch the bus, go to the mall, and come back.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, that was one of those things that, like, now those people who do rely on the bus, they don't have... Like, I don't know if that bus goes down to Homestead, down to the waterfront.
I'll have to ask Anna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because I don't know.
Yeah, neither do I. But I mean that is like, it's the poorer person, the person who doesn't have their own car.
Yeah.
That is affected by not having access to a place like that.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of how our city's built. You have to... Like, when you're in the city, you can take the T almost anywhere.
Right.
And you can get a bus almost anywhere pretty quickly in the city.
Right.
But, people being transported in from the city to downtown, you know what I mean? Or something like that, or to an outlying area, they have to rely on buses and bus routes. And I know that whole system because of the girls.
Right.
But, I mean, I don't know it. They know it. I don't know. But I'm familiar with what they have to go through.
Well, I think more than any other city, and I'm only saying this because, like, as far as major metropolitans, like, you talk about Chicago, you talk about New York, you talk about, like, San Francisco, like, they have these phenomenal public transportation systems.
Yeah, they do.
Allegheny County's is awful.
Yeah, it is.
Like you said, like, the T is great for when you're in downtown, but outside of that, like, it really...
Yeah, unless you live in the South Hills.
Yeah, unless you live in the South Hills, it serves no other purpose.
Right.
There is nothing coming to McKeesport or Glassport or...
Correct. Now, if there was something like that all around Allegheny County...
Right.
Then that would be a lot better. But it's not.
Right.
Why it's not, I don't know, because we have all this mill site.
Yeah.
That can take you to every fucking town you want to go to.
Right.
On a T.
Right.
If you wanted to.
Right.
Just saying.
Yeah.
But because all of our towns lie on rivers.
The thing I remember when I was a kid, and this lasted until the 90s when they finally shut it down, there was a train that you could take.
Yeah.
That took you into downtown Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Like, I remember a couple of times, like my grandma Sandra, we would go down, catch the train in Port View, and it would take you to Pittsburgh. We'd get off at the train station. She'd do her shopping, and we'd catch the train and go home.
Yeah. That
was like an odd thing. But that's like about the closest Pittsburgh ever came to having something like that to hit our outskirts, I should say.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, like, if you wanted to get like a bus to Monroeville, it's almost impossible.
Yeah, I know.
Like, you have to, like, you would honestly, like, it's like the weirdest thing because it's like, okay, like, from here I would have to, like, catch a bus, go to downtown Pittsburgh, catch a bus in downtown Pittsburgh that would then take me to Monroeville.
Right.
And even then it might not get me where I want to go in Monroeville. Like, it's like the weirdest fucking thing, like, trying to get around. And it's like Pittsburgh is the hub. Like, if you want to get somewhere, you got to go to Pittsburgh, and then from Pittsburgh, you then catch the bus.
Right.
And you may have to run a couple of blocks to catch that bus.
Right.
Like, it's like a... So, yeah, Pittsburgh public transportation is pretty fucking awful.
I think so.
And I say that having people I know who work in Pittsburgh public transportation.
Right. And it's a shame. It is, because the city relies on... Well, more so back in the day than it does now. But, I mean, you just have to have that bus system there.
Yeah.
For people here.
And it's retreating further and further away from the outskirts of Allegheny County.
Right. No, I know. Believe me.
Yeah. So it is tough from that standpoint, because it's like when I lived in Green Oak, there was a bus that ran through there. So,
right.
Like, if I when my car was broke down, I could catch a bus and go to work. Well, after a while, they took that route away.
Right.
It no longer went into Green Oak.
Right.
So if I wanted to catch that bus, I now had to walk 2.5 miles to the other side of the Boston Bridge.
Right.
And catch a bus over there.
Right.
Yeah. So it was it's something that's retreating from the outskirts.
Well, it's even retreating here. I mean, they took all the buses out of Port View.
Yeah.
There's no buses that go up Port View anymore.
No. That went away years ago.
I know, and you got to walk all the way down Rebecca just to get a bus.
Yeah.
Rebecca's a beast of a hill.
Right.
Oh, it is.
It is. Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's not Steel Street and it's not Lothrop Street, but
yeah.
I don't want to walk that hill.
No. I have walked that hill.
Yeah,
I'll tell
sucks.
you how it sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know what the answer is. I'm not going to sit here and say, this is how you fix it. I just know from the standpoint of where other places, if you don't have a car in Allegheny County, you can't get anywhere.
Right.
In all honesty. That's just I mean, I know you can what you do, you go to G's house and you catch the T and you take the T to the games, but that's still not overly convenient as far as you got to drive to G's.
Yeah. Yeah.
But at the same time, it's that thing of there are people in New York who never learn how to drive because they don't need to.
Right.
Public transportation gets them everywhere.
Everywhere.
Whereas here, it's if you don't have a car, you're never getting off of your block.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So, it's a very unique situation. I don't know how unique. I'm sure there are other places that people are going to be like, oh, our trouble transportation sucks or this or that. I mean, I'm sure it does. But I'm just saying, it's just this weird thing of here, as tight as Allegheny County is, it's unless you have a car, you're not getting anywhere.
Right. I know. It's so weird.
It is.
And we had a pretty good trolley system at one time, didn't we?
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah. Back in way back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Between the cities and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And take you downtown and all that stuff, right?
Well, I'm sure half of it has to do with the demise of the mills. Those trolley systems were in place to get the mill workers.
Yeah.
McKeesport was a massive hub back then.
Yeah.
People were coming into work, so you needed trolleys going in and out of McKeesport. You needed trolleys going in and out of Homestead. You needed trolleys coming in and out of Braddock.
Right.
These were all that was Clarendon. That's where the mills were. So that's how you got to work with. You took the trolley.
Right.
But as the steel mills died, public transportation dies as well.
Oh yeah, I'm aware of that.
Yeah. I can't believe. Port Authority bragged they put this. There's a bus depot in McKeesport.
Yeah.
And it was well, we revitalized it. We sunk $1 million into it. And it's you did? Oh, okay. I must have went in the demolition of the big building that was there.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, it's just a bunch of benches.
Right.
So it's that odd thing of I am surprised that McKeesport is still a hub as far as that's where the buses go. But at the same time, unless you're going to Pittsburgh, you're not going anywhere else.
Right.
For the most part.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
All right. What was the other thing I had? Oh, yeah. This. So, Christopher Nolan likes to He likes to talk about cinema.
Okay.
Cinema. I love Nolan. I'm not going to make fun of him. But I shouldn't make fun of him because I love the guy.
Yeah.
He makes amazing movies. He was talking about how Oppenheimer has opened the door to a post-franchise world.
Okay.
Okay. Now, I think he's right and wrong. Because, like, the problem becomes, like, we talk about this, like, everything's a franchise.
Right.
Everything wants to be a franchise. Well, what's the reason for that? Well, it's because franchises make money. Once you have a known IP, like, you want to utilize that as much as possible.
Right.
So if you can make a franchise out of something, you want to do it.
Right.
Because, once you have Die Hard, you know what Die Hard is. You know what to expect from Die Hard. I want to go see Die Hard.
Right.
That's what so why that's why Marvel movies do so well. It's not because of. It's because it says Marvel.
Right.
In all honesty, that's the proof is in the pudding with Guardians of the Galaxy. Like that should have failed.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. James Gunn made 3 amazing movies, but because it said Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, people were willing to give it a chance.
Sure.
Why do they make Superman movies? And why do they make Batman movies? Well, because those IPs are known money makers.
Right.
Green Lantern, no. Aquaman, we're just finding that out. Like why isn't there a Booster Gold movie? Well, because nobody knows who the fuck Booster Gold is but a few nerds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there are IPs that you look at DC and someone will say, like, well, why can't they make movies about character X, Y, and Z? Well, because only you and maybe 10 other people know who character X, Y, and Z is.
Right.
It's risky to do that. Meanwhile, we all know who Batman is. We all know who Superman is. We all know who Spider-Man is. We all know who the X-Men are. Like, these are IPs that people know are known money makers.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's why you see them constantly being remade.
Right.
Oppenheimer is a movie about theoretical physics and the power to destroy the world.
Right.
It's how one man balanced that.
Yeah.
And yes, it's not a franchise. Like, there's not going to be Oppenheimer 2. If you want to say there was an Oppenheimer 2, it's called Godzilla -1.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's what you're looking at. But there is, like, this thing, I firmly believe this. Like, you don't need to have a known IP to have a movie do well. But you have to have a good movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, Oppenheimer is an amazing movie.
Uh-huh.
It is made by a brilliant director.
Uh-huh.
And you look at other movies like Killers of the Flower Moon. That did well. Well, why did it do well? Well, you have Leonardo DiCaprio and you've got Martin Scorsese.
Yeah.
Like, there's not going to be a part 2 to this.
Yeah.
But it is a movie that, you have a couple of known commodities that people are willing to take a chance on.
Right.
And, it looked like a very well done movie. I've always felt franchisable movies are like comfort food.
Right.
I know what it is. I know what I'm getting.
Yeah.
I'm getting Mom's pot roast.
Yeah.
I know what I'm getting with Mom's pot roast.
Right.
You know what I mean? Where Oppenheimer is, I'm going to a strange restaurant and I'm trying something I've never eaten before in my life. I hope it's good. But everybody says wonderful things about this restaurant, so I'm willing to give it a try.
Right.
That's... I don't think somebody could just walk in, for the most part, as a complete unknown, with a cast of complete unknowns, and have a $1 billion movie.
Right.
I think it's very hard to do, if not impossible.
Right.
You have to have... People still want a known commodity of some type with that.
Sure.
Oppenheimer. Wow, that's about the guy who created a nuclear bomb. I don't know if that's going to be any good or not. Christopher Nolan directed it. Okay, I'll give it a shot. That's the known commodity at that point.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I agree with him and I disagree with him. What do you think?
I agree with him. I mean, I don't know. I think if you have the people in the movie, I think you can get away with a really good movie.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like you said, I think because of the. Do you think if the characters and the director did not do this movie, do you think it would do well? With the brand, not brand, but with those characters attached to the film.
So if somebody else directed Oppenheimer with an entirely cast of unknowns,
correct?
No, it would not.
That's what I mean.
That's what I'm saying too. Like,
yeah, I know what you're saying.
There has to be that known commodity. I'm willing to see a movie like this because Christopher Nolan directed it.
Right.
I'm willing to see it because it has Robert Downey Jr. in it. You know, like that's the stuff that like the story's intriguing and it's extremely well done, but at the same time, like you have to give me that catch still.
Right.
Like I don't think if you did a story about Oppenheimer that was directed by like, you know, some brand new director.
Right.
Like it never works that way.
Right.
You know, even Nolan when he started, he made Memento.
Right.
You know, much smaller film than Oppenheimer. You know,
yeah.
Much smaller film than Inception. Much smaller film than Batman.
Right.
You know, which by the way, Chris, you did a franchise. Let's not talk shit on it.
Yeah, let's not talk shit on it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like you did do one.
But I mean, like I do think like you can like non-franchise movies do have a place. It's just it's got to be there's got to be some hook to it that's going to attract you.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I get it. I don't know. Nolan's just
sometimes he's full of his own shit.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and I love the guy, and I mean, I think he sees cinema a certain way, and I'm glad he does because it's beautiful.
Yeah.
But I mean, like at the same time, like sometimes I think he's just like full of his own shit.
Yeah.
Like I feel the same, but I still feel the same way with Ridley Scott. Sometimes Ridley Scott, like, again, you talk about an eye, like the guy is amazing. He's been amazing for years.
Right.
Like as far as like how he directs shit, what you see on the screen, how he sees things that he wants you to see. But sometimes I'm like, yeah, you're full of your own shit.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you need to come down a peg. You know? Because like really, Scott's done stuff over the years where it's like, it's beautiful. You know, or it's amazing. Or, I mean, it's Thelma and Louise.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he's done a brilliant job of not pigeonholing himself into one thing, even though he's kind of become like the alien guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Because that's his baby. But at the same time, like, he does, like... I understand Martin Scorsese putting down superhero movies.
Okay.
Martin Scorsese would never make a superhero movie.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, Martin Scorsese would never delve into that, come close to that realm.
Right.
Ridley Scott, you kind of did.
Yeah.
You know, the Alien franchise is nothing but.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
You made a superhero out of Ellen Ripley.
Right.
You know? So, I mean, like, it is that thing of, like...
Ripley.
Yeah. So it is that thing of, like, sometimes I just want to be like, you know, dude, you know, take it back a notch.
Right.
You know? But at the same time, like, I you know, I would never want to see a Ridley Scott superhero movie.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it would be terrible.
Yeah,
you know? I hate to say that because I love Ridley Scott, but like there are some things I just don't want to ever see him do.
Right.
Robin Hood, great. Gladiator, phenomenal. Blade Runner, chef's kiss.
Yeah.
You know, Do I want to see Ridley Scott's take on Superman? No.
Yeah, I know.
You know?
Yeah, I agree with you.
You know? I wouldn't want to see Martin Scorsese's take on Superman.
Yeah, I know. I mean, certain directors fit
Yeah.
where they fit. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why when Tarantino wanted to do...
Star Trek.
Yeah, I was like, nah,
I
don't know.
don't know. Because Tarantino's movies... Like, I never thought of him as, like, a visually stunning director.
No.
Like...
It's more artistic style.
Yeah. But also... Like, much like Kevin Smith, Tarantino can write dialogue.
Right.
Like, to me, like, a Quentin Tarantino, like, Star Trek movie would be like, the Enterprise has gone nowhere, but we've had a 30-minute conversation about how Romulans have sex.
Yeah, or something
like that. Like something like that. Like there's a whole cold open of, like, Romulan girls versus Klingon girls.
Yeah.
You know, like, wow, okay. This is how we're starting this? All right.
Yeah.
Like, the Enterprise would go nowhere, but, like, it would be amazing dialogue.
The whole movie.
Yeah, the whole movie.
And they, like, just went to the moon.
Yeah. Yeah, they went to Jupiter and back, but boy, the conversations.
Yeah. And that's just not a movie you want to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I get that.
And for some ungodly reason, you know, Spock drops an N-bomb.
Jeez.
You know?
Yeah. Just, nah.
Yeah.
Ving Rhames comes out of the bathroom.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I wouldn't go in there. But that's what I'm saying. Like,
Pam Grier plays a horror.
Yeah. But I mean, like, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
No, it did. Like, I was excited for it, but then as I thought about it, I'm like, man, I don't see this working.
All I can see, and now thinking back on it, is all I can see is it just being so disrespectful to the franchise. That
Yeah.
You think Trek fans are mad now? Talk about blowing up the internet.
So,
Death threats.
So which phaser is yours? The one that says bad motherfucker on it.
Exactly, dude.
What did Sulu say?
Yeah. There's no way.
Yeah.
Pipe dream form, probably.
Like, I appreciate him, like saying, like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
Like, I do. Like, you know, it's like... But I also, like, it's like, it does become that thing, like, man, I just can't see that working.
I know.
Like, that is shit you have never done before.
I know. Never.
Like, not even close. Like, I appreciate you enjoy the franchise, but... Dude.
It's crazy.
I mean, that was like handing Kevin Smith the reins of, like, a Star Wars movie. Like, he could write the shit out of it, but I wouldn't want to see him direct it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's more plausible than Tarantino doing Star Trek.
Well, like, but Tarantino says he's a fan of the franchise. Like, that was his whole point. Like, I'm a big Star Trek fan. I'd love to do a Star Trek movie. Like, that's great. Like, I'm glad you're a fan.
Yeah.
But, like, I just don't think this is in your wheelhouse at all.
I don't think so either.
You know, but the flip side of that is, like Kevin Smith, like, I could see him writing it, but I wouldn't want him to direct it.
Right.
You know, I've watched enough of his movies, and like, the camera doesn't move. You know?
Right.
Even, like, when he does, like, and he's admitted this, like, he's directed, like, a number of, like, the CW, when they had the DC CW shows.
Yeah.
Like The Flash and Supergirl. He directed quite a few episodes of Supergirl.
Uh-huh.
Like 3 or 4 episodes of Flash. And, like, he even admitted, like, I really didn't do much. Like, that crew is on, like, they just know what to do. Like, all I'm doing is saying cut into action. Like, I'm really not doing much else. Like, they are on autopilot. They know what the hell to do. Like, was that a satisfactory take, Kevin? Yeah, it's looked good to me. Great. Okay, we're moving on. And they are, like, so he like, I really didn't do much as far as directing those shows.
Right.
So I can't imagine him, like, even he's admitted, like, if I was to direct, like, a superhero movie, it would be like, all the action would be, like, off screen as, like, two people described it.
Right. Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah. All right, anything to add to the proceedings there, sir?
No, I'm good, man.
All right. Well, remember, there are a number of ways you can reach out and touch us.
Hey.
You can send us an email. The email address is pittsburghnerd@yahoo.com. You can also find us on Facebook and Twitter. Just search Pittsburgh Nerd Podcast. We're very, very easy to find. And we are on a number of podcasting networks. We are on the Pod Breed Network, the Tangent Bound Network, and the Weeby Geeks Network. I'm not sure why I said that out of order. Mm-hmm. Just give them a Google search. You can find all the other great podcasts they have to offer. And lastly, as always, want to thank you, dear listener, for taking the time to check us out each and every week. We can't thank you enough for your support.
Hey.
And on that note, the dreamer has awakened.
Peace.